everyone, I'm Chester44 and welcome to this Let's Play of Neverwinter Nights 2. Ignore the subtitle there. I did play the original Neverwinter Nights, I think it was just before my last game, so I figured I may as well follow it up with the sequel, Neverwinter Nights 2. Because I have played that and I enjoyed it. Well, sort of. I mean, I played Neverwinter Nights 2 in the first expansion, but I never played the second or third. Excuse me, sorry. So, some of this I will know and I will be doing. Some of it will be a bit new for me. That'll be later. For now, though, we're going to start with Neverwinter Nights 2. I'm going to have to make up a character, but I'm probably going to skip through the character creation process just to get straight in, because a lot of the things are kind of the same, and we are doing the official campaign. Like I said, I've done the official campaign, the original. I've done Master of the Betrayer. Storm of Zehir and Mysteries of Westgate I have never done, and I don't really know much about them. So, on to the official campaign. Pretty simple loading, and we're going to create a character. Well, I could do something fancy and do something special and different from normal. Yeah, I'm just gonna go back to normal human. I like how things normally go. It's fairly nice. This is still 3.5 edition rules, although with a few modifications because video games, but it is how it is. Yeah, I know humans are boring, but I like doing it because the extra skills and feats, it's nice. Same with why I usually do fighters. Anyway, I'm gonna skip through all this as I make up the character. And the character is made up. Decided to give him the name Travis Ignam, because what the hell, I think that name sounded fine. I'm not gonna get into age or description, there's never really have any bother. He is a fighter, as you'd probably expect from me. I consider doing a paladin, but they're forced to be lawful good, and I love getting all these extra feats. He's neutral good. You can actually choose like a background and a deity, which I didn't in this case. Stats are right there. He's got a bit of a focus on diplomacy because I like having diplomacy, and I don't believe there's anything else, so let's get right into the game.
So many years ago today. Ah, my foster son is up and dressed, I see. Today is the High Harvest Fair, and the West Harbor Village Council requires me to man the archery competition. The human need to celebrate Remembrance Days baffles me, but at least something productive may come of it. The merchant Galen is here. He'll want my furs, as he usually does. Coins can be useful in getting by. This past season has been a hard one, for both tilled fields and wildlands. While I attend to the archery contest, I will need you to deal with the merchant. Fetch my furs from the chest, over by the painting.
Alright, and we are in. Yes, there will be, well, speaking from others. That's kind of how it is now. Welcome to Neverwinter Nights 2. If this is your first time playing the game, you might want to play through the tutorial. The tutorial gives you a chance to learn controls and basic strategies, yada yada yada. If you'd played the game before, if you just want to get straight to the story, feel free to skip ahead. Nah, I'm gonna keep playing through it. Because there is a bit of a story, you can get a bit of stuff from it, so why not? I'm just going to skip through them like this. I can zoom in and out, I can kind of move around. I seem to be a little limited in things. Hold on, let me check the options. I'll just deal with it. Anyway, yes. We are here, we are ready, and we can do some wandering around and exploring. Oh, wow, that is jerky. Why is it like that? That is not how that should be. Hold on. Well, crap. I have no idea why it's like that at the moment. Also, I know there's there it is. Z can highlight other things. I guess I'm just going to have to deal with this for a bit. This is not what I want. I do not like it at all. Anyway, I'm just gonna throw that there so that I have an ability on the abilities bar, which is easy to do. Let's just pick this thing up. Yes, I know about that. We can see your inventory fairly simply. Unfortunately, unlike Neverwinter Nights 2, we can't really... It's not every item only takes up one slot, and you've got only so much space. Alright, we've got the furs.
Good. I see you have the furs. Galen has probably set up his tent on the village green. He'll be enjoying the fair with the rest of the townsfolk. Last season, I asked him to bring a duskwood bow to trade. Sell him the furs and use the coins it gives you to purchase the bow. Your friends await you at the bridge. I suppose you're anxious to see the fair. But don't forget to trade with Galen.
Indeed, and there's basically your first quest, because there's a fair going on. Oh god, that's gonna be such a problem. I really don't like that. Hold on, I'm gonna make another adjustment. I just realized with everything jumping like that, oh god, everything's gonna look horrible. Well, it's not like I have much choice. Let's move on. Yes, I know about many of these things. I got a map over here that I can use, which maybe I should keep it. No, I can't adjust it. Fine. Go in and out. We do have the map, and we can see everything around there, but it just doesn't feel right being unable to... Why am I shouldn't be... Hold on. Okay, that frees us a bit more, and I can actually move around more. Still jumpy. Ugh, I hate this. This is gonna look horrible. I'm sorry.
There you are. Come on, the fair's already started.
It's the biggest fair in years. There's folk in from all the outlying farms, and even a few from outside the mare. That means a big audience.
A big audience, all cheering for us. This year's our last chance to compete for the Harvest Cup. Our last chance to win.
Yeah, what's the competition look like?
The Mossfelds won both their matches in the Harvest Brawl. They'll be tough to beat, but Amy's bound to win the Tourney of Talent for us.
I convinced Tarmus to teach me a few new spells. And I dug up a couple more from his spellbooks when he wasn't looking. Anyway, I heard Will Mossfeld is doing the same act this year, so that should help my chances.
Oh, gods. Not the pixie impressions again.
Yeah, we have the whole day ahead of us. What's our first stop?
We sign up with Georg in the village square. Come on!
Indeed, and we have companions with us.
Yes, indeed.
And of course we can look at what they have, which is nothing special.
Yes, indeed.
Although she has spells that she can put out if she really wants. Which will be needed at some point, I'm sure.
Fall in.
Alright, how bad does this look? Oh, God. I'm so sorry about this. I don't know why this is like this. Maybe it's... I don't know, the fact I'm doing it on Windows 10 or something instead of the version this was on. If anyone knows any reason that's happening and how to fix it, please let me know. This is a good old games edition. I'll have to take a look to see if I can figure out a way to fix it, but next 4 episodes are going to be like this, I'm afraid. Excuse me. Anyway... Well, there's Georg.
And the blight. You're sure it's spreading, Orlin?
It's no blight, Georg. It's something else. There's no mold, no rot. It's like the crops don't want to grow. Like they haven't the guts to up and face the sun.
What do the druids say?
Well, it's just a rub, Georg. There's no druids to be found, not head nor heel. It used to be they'd warned me of troubles, long before I noticed the signs myself. But this time, rot and silence. You think we ought to say something? Everyone's gathered for the fair, even from the outlying farms.
No. They ought to be free from cares, at least for a day. We'll go round tomorrow. Talk to the households one by one.
Right you are, Georg. Tomorrow, then.
That doesn't sound very good.
Aha! I've been wondering when I'd see the three of you. Last year to compete, isn't that right?
That's right. What are the years this year? What are the rules this year?
Rules are the same as ever. Win 3 of the 4 events, and you win the Harvest Cup. Win all 4, and the village council grants you a special prize. And nobody's done that since old Cormac.
Cormac. I remember him, vaguely.
Oh, that boy was a legend. Oh, I'm sure there's 100 Cormacs in a city like Neverwinter. But for this town, he was as big as folks get.
Old Cormac fought Lon Starling in the brawl, and some story that was. But I don't suppose you have time for stories just now.
And what are this year's events?
Well, there's the Harvest Brawl. Old favorite, that one. And the Tourney of Talent. But you've got Amy on your team, so you're certain to win.
Thanks, Georg.
Just the truth, young lady. Your foster father's running the archery competition, as always, and I managed to convince Thomas to supervise the Knaves Challenge. I guess the Knaves Challenge will be your toughest event, though the Mossfeld boys might say otherwise.
And why would they say that?
Will and his brothers have won the Harvest Brawl 3 years running. It'll be tough to dislodge them. But remember, you only have to win 3 events to claim the cup.
Well, the Mossfelds are decent fighters. They can be beaten.
Keep an eye on Bevel, and don't let the Mossfelds get him riled. That's how they always beat him on the practice field.
Yeesh, Georg, I'm right here, you know.
If you have any troubles, you know where to find me. Oh, and good luck in the brawl!
Hey, thanks. Now we know exactly what we'll be doing, and we'll get our way through there.
Need some help?
Yeah, we can speak with them about other things, so what the hell? I want to hear about Cormac.
Old Cormac fought in the Harvest Brawl against Bevel's older brother. Stuff of legend, that was.
Let's have the tale, then.
Aye then, a tale you'll have. It was the year of the foul harvest, when the crops grew stunted and weak. Not so different from this year, in fact, and folks were anxious for a fair to take their minds off their troubles. Now, it so happened that there were 2 village lads of the same age, and both of them were big. Now, not just big in a physical sense, mind you, but big in talent, and big in courage, and big in potential. Now, one of them alone would have been too big for this village, but they were 2, and the time was ripe for a contest between them.
Yeah, you're quite a storyteller here. So Cormac was one, and his rival was Bevel's brother?
Yes, indeed. The brother of our very own Bevel, and the eldest of the Starling lads. Lorne Starling was his name, and he was a sight. Over 7 foot tall and built like a High Lord's keep. Our Bevel's a sturdy lad, to be sure, but it'd take 2 of him to match Lorne for size. Now, old Lorne was champion of the Harvest Brawl. 3 years he'd held the title, and most boys had only to look at him for they'd faint dead away. But our Cormac had a notion to win the brawl that year and humble his rival for good. So, up he steps, and the crowd goes hushed. Then, Lorne starts insulting him. It began as a good-natured ribbing, but Cormac just stood there, and he didn't say a word. And that got Lorne angry.
He just stood there and said nothing? Yeah, whatever Cormac intended, it wasn't worth public humiliation.
There's some who'd agree with you, and some who wouldn't. But let me finish the story before you judge.
Alright, go on.
Old Cormac took every insult that Lorne could think up. Didn't blink or say a word. That got Lorne so angry that he came at Cormac in a fury. Cormac took a few hits, but mostly he tried to stay out of Lorne's way. And Lorne got madder and madder and madder still. It went on for hours like that, through one day and into the next. Folks watched the match in shifts, one fellow sleeping and another awake. Then they'd swap places and fill each other in. And still Lorne got madder and wilder. Then, all of a sudden, Cormac stopped in his tracks and gave old Lorne a punch right in the nose. Oh, Lorne was so angry by then he couldn't block it. Cormac gave him another punch, and another, and another, until old Lorne toppled over like a felled oak. And just like that, Cormac won the Harvest Brawl.
Seems like a bit of an exaggeration. Quite a story, Georg. How much of it is true?
Well, most of it. That's to say, more's true than isn't. I've livened up bits, here and there.
Why did Cormac strike when he did? Why wait so long?
Why, I asked Cormac the same thing, just before he left town. Georg, he said to me, Lorne is a big fella, but his anger made him small.
I just had to wait till he was small enough to beat.
So what happened to Cormac and Lorne?
Next day, Cormac was gone.
Folks reckoned that he'd done all there was to do in West Harbor, and it was time to move on. As for Lorne,
Well, Lorne Starling never was the same after that fight. He and Cormac had been friends, you might say.
but only one of them was going to leave that ring with his pride intact. Lorne skipped town too. Went and joined the Neverwinter Army, I hear.
Alright, thanks for the story, Georg, but I got my own.
Quite right. And the day's getting on. Need some
Anything
help?
else to say? Any idea why Dagon seems so glum today?
Harvest Fair's got a double meeting for most folks in this village. It's the anniversary of the attack on our village, when all those demons came. Everybody lost friends and family, and your foster father takes things harder than most. Best not to trouble him about it.
As you wish. I may as well ask, where do I start the Harvest Brawl?
Just around back of this tent. Look for Brother Maring. He's in charge this year. Healer watching over the brawl.
Probably should have thought of that years ago.
I mean, it makes plenty of sense, yeah. What about the archery competition?
Down the road, past Galen's tent. Talk to your foster father, and he'll get you started.
The Tourney of Talent?
Follow the road around the corner, past those hogs on the left. Retta's looking for Amy, I'm sure. There's little enough talent in this town, and everybody loves a magic show.
And how about the Names Challenge?
Follow the road past Galen's tent, almost to the edge of town. I gave Thomas charge of the Knaves Challenge this year. Thought it might cheer him up a bit. But he's sour as ever.
Alright, thanks. Farewell. Alright. I can already see. Right there, looks like that's where the Harvest Brawl is gonna be. There's Brother Maring. A bunch of villagers, and a whole bunch of other things like that. Can I actually talk to my companions? Oh yeah, I can. May as well. Let's talk to Bevel. I can't believe it's our last year to compete for the cup. When did we get so old? What do you think of the fair this year? Sure are a lot of people. At least 100, I'd say. Maybe more if you count all the kids. Where'd all these kids come from anyway? Feels like just a few seasons ago when you, me, and Amy were chasing about and getting underfoot. Remember how angry Tarmus would get? Now he's got a whole new brood to complain about. Think you'll ever leave West Harbor? Sure. I mean, maybe a season in the wilds, hunting for treasure with you and Amy. As long as we could get back in time for the harvest. Wouldn't want to miss the fair and all. Do you remember much about your older brother? Oh, you mean Lorne? Only a little. I remember the day he shaved his head. Gods, Mother was upset. She said it made him look like an angry egg. And I remember when he left. It was just after my dad died, and I don't know. Lorne got so restless. Winning the cup was all he could talk about. He'd drill in the fields with his friends from morning till dusk. And then, after all that, he lost to Cormac, the guy who was good at everything and didn't even try. I remember sitting under the table crying while Lorne packed up his things. Did he say where he was going? Neverwinter. At least that's what Georg says. Mom would never tell me if she got any letters back from him. Personally, I think Lorne's dead. Why else would he just disappear like that and never write or visit? How's your family been? Mom's always well. I don't know when she finds time to sleep, though. She looks after 7 kids at a farm, plus she helped organize the fair. And she's running the Tourney of Talent besides. You help her as best you can. Well, I just do what a son should. With father dead and Lorne gone, who else does she have? The others are too young. Sometimes I wish my family was more like yours. I mean, Dagon lets you do whatever you want, whenever you want. But I guess there's something to be said for having a big family and people who care about you. Not that Dagon doesn't care about you, he just isn't warm. Look, he's your father and I shouldn't have opened my mouth. I'm sorry, really. He's also an elf, but... which is odd for an elf to have a human child, but I'm pretty sure I'm adopted. Still enjoying your militia training? I don't regret joining, if that's what you mean, even though Tarmus thinks the militia made me even dumber than I was in the first place. But Georg says I'm getting better with a blade, and I beat Webb Mossfield on the practice field the other day. There's something about drilling together as a team. A dozen men, fighting as one. You can lose yourself. You gain something more. Never mind, let's get back to the fair. What about Amy here, our other good friend? Something up? Do you think the fair is better than last year? It's bigger, I think. I don't remember much about last year. Not after I let you and Bevel buy me all that harvest mead, anyway. Once you finish your apprenticeship, what do you think you'll do? Tarmus has a book in his library, Volo's Guide to the Realms. There's a picture in it, a woman in traveler's garb, with daggers on her hip, trinkets and scroll cases hanging from her belt, and a book and quill in hand. She wouldn't fit in around here, but I've always admired her, wandering the realms with a spellbook and a quill, recording what she sees. Then retiring to a place like Candlekeep, writing books and telling stories to kids. I'd be happy with that. Yeah, I can see that. Adventuring through the world? Yeah, sounds fun. What do you think of Tarmus? He can be a little... depressing. But when I was sick with that fever a few years ago, he stayed at my bedside for a week telling me stories, running back and forth with potions from Mother Mering. And he lets me use my magic for my chores. I got the plates cleaning themselves now, but the broom keeps giving me trouble. Yeah, just don't ever ask the broom to get you water from the well, or... No, don't ever ask it to fill the well. I hear that never ends well. No pun intended. What kind of stories did Tarmus tell you? They always involved wizards in dark places under the ground, surrounded by wights and spirits and worse, always searching for something. But they had a realism about them, like he'd been there, experienced them for himself. Do you think he was one of the wizards mentioned in those stories? It's hard to imagine Tarmus in a dungeon, but at least some of those stories had to have been about him. Why do you think Tarmus came to West Harbor? It's something to do with the war, the one that killed my parents and yours. I think that's why he took me in at first, as if I'd give him some connection to whatever happened that night. What do you know about your parents? Well, nothing, really. I know they were stubborn because they stayed to protect their home when the demons attacked, and I know they weren't from West Harbor. Tarmus thought they might have been Luskans, and once I caught him giving me a strange look, like he was seeing me for the first time. He told me there was magic in my blood. Ever wonder what you'd be like if they'd lived? Bevel thinks I'd be more like the other girls, whispering about boys and giggling. Not that there's anything wrong with men, they're just not as interesting as magic. Not usually, anyway. Alright, let's get back to the fair, which I think I will do in the next episode. Yeah, seems like a decent place to pause. Here we pause, and after we've had our little intro of the game and everything, and... clock. And, yeah, next episode we can go through each of the challenges. We're definitely gonna get them all. Why wouldn't we? Well, maybe one of them might be a little tricky, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, next episode we'll go through the Harvest Fair and do what we can. Please let me know if you guys know a way to fix this. I'm gonna look on the forums once I finish the recording session. But that's on the next episode. So until then, I'm Chester44. That is Travis Ignam, Bevel Starling, and Amy Fern. This has been a Let's Play of Neverwinter Nights 2, and I shall see you all next time.